This is Georgia551 and we're going to do a product review of the NETGEAR N600 Wireless Dual Band Router, which on both 2.4 and 5 gig speeds can do 300 baud, secure connection, Wi-Fi, parental. It's supposed to have the best range of their products. Can do gaming, USB storage, multimedia, simultaneous dual band, 24/7 support if you ever need it. Reduce your USB, avoids interference, dedicated Wi-Fi for video gaming, dual band, twice the bandwidth. And here is the router itself. What it comes with, and you don't see it here, is it comes with a Ethernet cable so you can set the router up. It's no longer needed once you got it set up. Inside the computer, I've got the installation CD. The thing is off, so can't see it. And for pure ambience, if you press this, you can have some nice blue flickering lights. It's pure blue. It appears kind of faded, and you have the choice of on or off. You can hook up to 4 different computers to the device. But once you got it set up, you can pretty much just do what I'm doing, is have your internet connected and pretty much leave it. And as you can see, I do have a netbook computer hooked up to this because we're going to test the range. Alright, this won't be perfect, but I actually did get my handheld GPS to show the location of the router. However, it's a little dodgy. Let me show you. It says that I'm 50 feet away from it, even though it's right there. But then again, I'm also indoors. Let's take it out on the adventure, see how far we can go. The opposite side of the house where the router is, and this is supposed to be the high strength one, and we're at 40%. It was at 20 when we initially started. Let's go to the front and see what we get. Here I am doing a live broadcast. I am on the bedroom side where the router is. I got a direct view of it through the window. And here's Carter Park in Leominster. I'm only getting 2 bars, and I'm only 156 feet from the router. Pardon, I'm using my shaky hand to hold the camera. And this is supposed to be the high range product. Really? Alrighty. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm down to a single bar. And I'm 225 feet from the router. Now we're starting to get some moderately halfway decent signalage here. The apartment is behind the trees, you can't see it, and for the sake of my personal safety, I really don't care that you do. Alrighty, here we go. We are walking further and further away from the router till the signal completely goes out. Let's see how far we can go. I'm surprised it's still working. I guess this is actually a pretty far range product, but you're gonna have a fairly open view of the actual router, or else you're not gonna get the best of results. Let's see how far we are right now. 503 feet. So I'm going to put this down and go a little further. I didn't see any, I think the antenna is built in. So, at any moment, as I walk into a tree, literally, this thing should drop completely out. I'm at 20% signal. This is pretty much almost a direct view of the router through my bedroom window. And I still have a 20% signal after... Well, now it got to the point that it's in miles, 0.11, so we're about 600 feet out. But the idea is to see how far I can go before the signal gets to the point that it's no longer usable. And since we got another new viewer, oh, and we failed here. So we failed here at this point. Let's see how far we went. 0.13 miles. That's probably that's over 600 feet, I'm sure. I'm gonna calculate that out when I post the review. Alrighty. I calculated how far we went. It crapped out at 0.13 miles. The 600N router with a clear view can go 686 feet. About anywhere from 600 to 700 feet. And that is with pretty much no obstructions. Okay, now to give you a general review of how well it did. Here's our 600N router. This is just a very rough drawing of where we walked around. Not to scale and not to give away locations. Anyway, like I said, the house is really old, lots of plaster, lath, and what have not. As soon as we go about 70 feet this way, the signal was only about 20%, and it pretty much goes dead not that far from there, because it's going through many walls and what have not. However, one of the tests you did not see, because it was pretty pointless, was roughly about 100 feet away in the street. As soon as I hit here, it was dead at 100 feet. When I got to about, maybe say about 175 next door, I was at 20%. Dead zone till roughly about here. And from here we had a 40% signal, and it must have been fairly strong. This is where, outside of maybe a few trees here and there, it was a direct line of sight. And through direct line of sight we went almost 700 feet until it went dead again. And another test I did not show you was, okay, here's the other side. This is Main Street, or yeah, and here's there was a big dead zone till it got pretty much in line with the view of the house. There was a dead zone here as well. It kind of worked here. And right here we had 40%. Again, it's going through several walls with lots of plaster and lath and what have not. So if you're in a newer home, which is drywall and what have not, you'd have better luck. But I'm not assuming that you're going around your entire neighborhood using your router, which I'm sure that's not the point. We're just showing you how far you could go, because maybe you might be in an apartment building that's steel, might be concrete and steel, and that severely hinders its ability to travel. And this is about 150 feet. Yeah, my penmanship is terrible on a whiteboard. And once we hit the next building over, it was dead all the way till around this point here, about 70 to 80 feet. So basically, in terms of strength, if you're going around the house, this is definitely overkill. However, if you're trying to go through some really meaty walls or steel and concrete, you're only going to get about 30 feet before this thing is pretty useless. So any smaller range, forget about it. So basically, if you want to go in your yard or what have not, it'll work. So long as you're in a newer home, or you put the router in a window, then you can venture off like I did, and you have hardly any obstructions. So does it really have a high range? Yes, it does, but the range is severely limited by anything in its path. I've done this twice before. I did this on my computer, which you've seen, and my parents got a low range one, and so I've done this before. Pro, the steps are easy, very easy to set up. The cons is that the CD takes a long time to load, and it kind of runs a little flaky sometimes. The first time I tried it, it didn't come up at all. Second time it came up, it was asking for updates and crashed midway through. Then the third time, it never bothered. It set up, and it was perfectly fine from there. Okay, another pro is that range, very good. I'll give it 600 feet. The con with the range, solid objects, performance goes way down. Another plus is you don't have to go through this nightmare again if you want to reset it. You can reset or change parameters. Install some software onto your computer. It'll create two icons on your computer where you can change your parameters at will, so you don't have to go through this crap all over again. Definite plus. Definite plus there. I recommend this. I would say it's a thumbs up. So that's my basic review of the 600N, and you've got to actually see it perform and see how far it went. I did it live on BlogTV, and short notice, no real interest, but there you have it. How it works, it's fairly easy. The CD kind of hides on you in the when you unpack your box. So the only thing is it takes forever to get going. Program can be a little flaky, but the rest of it is cake once you get there. You don't have to have it hooked up to the computer. So, one last thing, no PC or Mac needed. That's all, because it's pretty much good to go at that point. And that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Have a good one.